Good Monday morning, you guys. Happy June. Or like we like to say here in Texas, it's hot as hell month. Okay, it kicks off hot as hell
No.
month up
Hell
in
comes
here.
later. Hell comes in July.
Oh, I'm telling you, I don't know. It's hell here currently. But my
Can
kids
I
in the
say
background.
this about that? It's so funny. Yesterday I had to wear a sweater outside. It was so cold.
Seriously.
And I thought, oh my gosh, they're melting in Houston. My wife and we just couldn't believe how cool it is in the hills of Georgia.
You know, I got in my car this week to go somewhere. It was 110 degrees in my car.
You guys are just crazy. I would not take the cold over heat any day. Now, I don't like the swamp heat where you walk outside and you're just sweating. I don't like that. I'll take a dry oven heat where you're just slowly dying. I will take that heat any day. But, you know, it is June and June is my birthday month. And so it makes me happy.
I hate birthday months.
Oh, Russell. Okay. Well, Russell has introduced. You guys are listening to Author Talk with me, Aimee, Russell, and Sandy's here today for our Just Us kicking off the month segment. And so Russell likes it when I kick off talking about my house. And so let me just fun factly say I am currently doing a what is it? I have a walkthrough today.
Checklist of all the stuff they lied to you about.
Uh-huh. I know. So what I have my own checklist. I have had Josh print out my agreed upon signed contract agreement of all of my upgrades.
You're so
because
awesome.
I am such a Karen, I guess, as people say nowadays.
No, that is not a Karen.
I try to be nice.
You are not a Karen because even when you're not nice, you're not a Karen. What you're doing is you're making people that are used to conning customers into being satisfied and not making them fulfill contracts. You're making them fulfill what you paid for. There's a big difference.
Well, okay. So here's my thing. Okay. Last Wednesday, I believe it was, I was having a minor heart attack. Okay. So I went to my house. I was going every day, like Russell, you had told me. And just for my sanity, my daughter is on my oldest one and she's moving my chair. So, anyways, I went. And on Wednesday, let me just tell you, nobody was at my house on Tuesday, literally doing nothing. And so I walk in on Wednesday. And I just feel my blood boiling because nothing has changed.
Which is why you go, right?
I know. So I went, my blood was just boiling. I was like, well, I don't know. And so the sales lady, you know, the one that's at the model home, all of that stuff, she had pulled up when I was there. And she's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. The painters wanted me to talk to you.
Oh, she's such a liar.
I know. I don't
she's not glad you're there.
I don't think anyone wants to hear the painters want me to talk to you. Like, that just sounds awful. And so they were supposed to stain some of my stuff. And they had, it didn't look finished and it didn't look how I envisioned it to look. But she asked me and I was like, no, the color's great. I don't really like how it was applied, but the color's great. And I said, I'm actually really glad you're here because I'm slightly nervous. I don't see how the 10th is possible. So I am supposed to close 1 week from today. Okay. My electricians hadn't been out there for a month since I made the accident faux pas of my fixtures and got confused on the contracts. Right. So it's been, you know, a whirlwind experience. So I stopped going. Wednesday was my last day going. I was like, this is only going to upset me. So I didn't go on Thursday and I didn't go on Friday. I went on Saturday with Josh and the electricians had been there after I got my weekly update from my project manager, who has been wonderful. Like, I don't blame him for anything. He truly has been wonderful. And so I went and I still have things that are wrong. And I will be walking in while things still aren't complete. And I thought with a walkthrough, everything was supposed to be complete. But, you know, it's my first time and we're learning.
What did I tell you, Aimee, when this started? What did I tell you?
It wasn't going to be fun. I was going to hit roadblocks and hate it.
Right.
You know. So my windows are supposed to go in this morning. I still have broken windows in my house. Nothing makes me more mad than that because they've installed my blinds. And for me, if you have reasoning behind doing stuff, I generally will understand. But I can't find a reason to installing blinds when I still have broken windows. But what do I know when they're building construction process, absolutely nothing. So we're rolling with it. Today at 3 Central, I will be walking through, and they were like, it's only going to take an hour, hour and a half. And I looked at Josh and I was like, they don't know me, do they? Because I have a nice list of everything. I've already walked through it in my mind, but I also have my contract in which I paid for stuff in which I have not been given. And so they don't know me enough to know that it will probably be longer than an hour.
Remember, at this level, you still need to use honey, not vinegar.
I
will be very nice. I will be very nice and sweet. But in my defense, and I had to tell Josh this, and it was mostly me venting to let him know, right? I was like, I warned him in the frame that he had to deal with you at the frame. And when everything was going on the inside of the house, then he had to deal with me because I selected all of those things.
He didn't want to talk to Josh, did he?
Huh?
He didn't want to talk to your husband, did he?
I think he would prefer to talk to Josh than to me, because this is just, it will be a very fun, lively conversation, because, I will make it fun and lighthearted. But I know that if I get pushback on certain things, nice Amy's going to go away. And Aimee won't sign on the 10th if not everything is done. Because
we had an opportunity to see bitch Aimee.
I know. I'm controlling at some extent on certain things.
Just honey at this point. You can say no with honey.
I don't know, Russell.
No,
Russell, but you know me. My facial expressions say it all.
I know,
could
but
be like,
you can say no with honey. Say no, I won't sign till it's all done. Smiling.
Well, I will try my best. Russell, I promise that I don't think any one of you guys will have to come bail me out of jail or defend me. But there's no promises that they will like me at the end of this. I'm not 100%.
Well, you don't give a crap whether they like you or not.
I truly
you want your contract.
I know. So, it's a fun expense, but also this weekend, it's not all doom and gloom. So this weekend, Josh's work actually had a family picnic out at the owner's ranch. It's a big place. And so Josh decided to take the girls fishing for the first time. And this is the funniest story. This is how you know that he has girls and he's a total girl dad. He took them to get fishing poles. He had researched what the best one was for kids, all this stuff. They didn't want any of that. They wanted the Frozen and the Paw Patrol fishing rods. They did not want the one that he picked, and he tried so hard to convince them, and it was not happening. So we ended up leaving with Paw Patrol and Frozen, fishing poles, everything else that they needed, and they did catch a fish. And the funniest thing in this whole conversation is I am not an outdoorsy girl by any means. I am cityfied. I can handle the outdoors. I have no problem doing that. I don't enjoy it. Okay. I'm sitting in the back of my car. I have the car running because it has an auto shut off. I'm just relaxing. They're at a distance fishing. I had no desire to do that. They catch their fish. They bring it in. The girls are screaming because of the fish. Josh is like, Josh is not a fisherman. He doesn't, Hold on, we have scissors. No scissors. Scott, okay. Josh is screaming, or the girls are screaming because of the fish. Josh never fishes. He doesn't know what to do. So he brings the fish in. Hold on. Lays down the fish on the ground. Okay? This is the funniest thing. He lays it down and he's trying to get the hook out of the mouth without touching the fish because he does not want to touch this fish. Well, my ass has to walk over there, grab the fish by the mouth, because I'm the only one, I guess, in my family that knows how to do this. Hold the fish while he takes the hook out, and he was struggling. And then I'm sitting there holding the fish because we have no cooler to put it in but my nice cooler that he brought drinks in. So then we have to empty that cooler to put the fish in it. It was a whole experience, you guys. Russell can't handle this either, but it was a whole experience.
You could throw that cooler away.
I know, but it was just a fun experience and a fun process. And this whole thing, and it showed that when it comes to the outdoors, I am still the person in my family that is the more outdoorsy one that had to handle this massive bass fish that everyone else was looking at.
What's funny is that Josh had this whole thing about taking them fishing, but he didn't know, which, believe me, I wouldn't know. But that's funny. That is funny that you had to take the fish off the hook.
It was just a funny, crazy instance. It's just one of those things. So Needless to say, even Josh was having to tell people at his work that he couldn't take the fish off the hook, which was hilarious
Okay.
to me.
Josh gets a star because he could laugh at himself. That's cool.
Well, yeah, he can. He can for sure. But what else did you guys do this weekend? What's all coming up for y'all? Sandy, you go.
I had my family for the weekend. My son's birthday was the 2nd, so Sunday. That was yesterday, and we had everybody over. But in the midst of this, we couldn't go swimming because we were, having our pool redone, and it's already been. They've taken out all of the patio, but they haven't put anything down yet because they then moved over to the pool. And I know they have their processes of what comes next. I had no idea that when you get a new surface on a pool, it was a process you go through to get it looking like it's supposed to look. And so when I saw it, I'm like, I don't see I don't see the pool that I picked out. So we picked out this surface called Aurora Borealis, and it's beautiful, sparkly, all that. Didn't see it. He said that comes after all the acid bath and everything. So anyway, we're right now in the midst. Supposed to be done on Tuesday. Will be the last day they have to come and scrape the pool and do all this stuff. So we had that going on in addition to having a house full of company. So it's kind of a little bit chaotic here, especially since Miranda and I are leaving Thursday to go to New York for the weekend, and we're planning on what we were going to wear and what we were going to do and putting an itinerary together. So it was a fun, but a little bit on the chaotic side weekend.
Yeah, well, while you're gone, Sandy, you may want Aimee to go over there with a checklist and make sure things are done.
I am good at that.
I'm just saying.
I'm pretty
Josh
good.
didn't print out a checklist for him because he's stupid. He printed it out because he's smart and he knows she'll take care of it.
He
Well,
also knows that he will get hell if
My
he did
husband-
not, because I would lose my mind.
My husband's not a good one to stand up to them either.
That's
So,
why you should send Aimee.
I have a backbone.
sounds
Oh.
good, Amy. Although, because Miranda will be with me. Otherwise, Miranda would be a great one to stand up to them.
I know. I was going to say, Miranda's pretty good too.
Yeah, but she's going with me to New York, so she won't be here.
Okay. Well, we have a great show today because this is a old world show for us. The three of us that started the show a millennial ago are now back together, and we get to do this and get to talk for the hour. So I'm really excited about it. First thing I want to do.
30 more minutes now, so
Yes. First thing I want to do is show that I received copies of my new book cover of my first book from Plum Creek Press, which is Aimee's publishing company. And it's beautiful. I've got great responses out of this. People love this cover. Okay? People love this cover. And so thank you so much, Aimee, for making me pick that, because you were very helpful in guiding it to be something that you really wanted, and it turned out to be spectacular. Thank you so much.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
My weekend was besides having to wear a sweater because it was so cool all week.
Oh,
Yeah.
No.
Which is one of the greatest things. It's like the hills of Georgia. It's just you have like people here think it's hot, and being old Houstonians were like, you have like 3 weeks of summer. That's it.
What
It's
is
like,
your temperature? What are you, like in the 60s?
Oh yeah, it gets down to the 50s and 60s at night. And then it doesn't get hot till about 2 or 3 o'clock, and then it cools off right away.
What the hell? Okay.
It's awesome.
That's pretty nice.
And I noticed an article today saying that Californians that have moved to Austin are moving away now because it's so hot. They can't take the Texas heat. And I'm like, how did you not know what Texas heat is like before you moved here? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
It's hot.
I mean, it's true. It is. What is it today? I think it's already like 90 degrees outside, to be honest. Yeah.
So
it's hot.
I I want to thank the people that listen to us on our podcast. We're top 10 independent book podcast in America, and we very much appreciate it. When we started a long time ago, we were excited if we had a few viewers. Now, most people don't even watch our show. They listen to us on our podcast during the week while they're driving to work or they're working out. We want to thank them. It became a lot easier to find us after Aimee revamped everything, and as she described, as she was selfish. Aimee, where can people find us now?
Yes, I was selfish, Russell. I love it. So you can find us anywhere that you can listen to a podcast. Oh, I'm sorry, my dog came underneath me, but you can still hear me. Anywhere that you can listen to a podcast. So Amazon, Spotify, Good Pods, Apple, Google Play. Those are my go-to. And where I go to find us, type in Author Talk. You'll see the crimson, red, and gold, like Russell mentioned, because I am selfish and I love those colors. But even Russell can find us, so I know that you can also
Even Russell.
find us.
Even
I know,
Russell.
even
Wow.
And that's not a cut, that's the truth.
It is. It is the truth. That's for sure. My dog messed with my camera, so you can't see me, but you can hear me.
Are you saying your dog or your kid?
My dog.
Confused?
He's under. No, it's my dog. He's under my table.
Sandy, why don't you tell us about your projects this week and your contest?
Okay. So, Rita Mills and I, and Aimee have been working on a project to give back to the independent author community and reward them for their doing a quality book. One of the things we talked about, Russell, when you first published your book, and one of the things I always told authors is you want a book that competes with Random House.
Yeah.
If you can do a book with quality editing, quality writing first, and then the editing, quality cover, like your latest cover is absolutely gorgeous. And anytime you're going to republish a book, you definitely want to do a new cover. That's absolutely gorgeous. Your book could be lying beside a book published by one of the top 5 publishers, and no one would look at it and say, oh, that's a self-published book, because it's beautiful from cover to cover. And that's what you want when you're publishing a book. So we want to give awards to those who really work to make their books the quality that they should be. So it gives self-publishing, independent publishing, a good name. So therefore, we are creating, with Aimee's help and with Rita's daughter, Dina, the 4 of us have created a quality award called the FIRE Awards, the FIRE Book Awards. And that FIRE is an acronym for Finest in Reading Experiences. And that award will be, the early bird awards are due by the end of June. And then the next ones will be, the last will be in September and on. And there's a lot of information on the website, Firebook Awards with an S.com. So go there, look at that, submit your book. We're having the Fire Awards for 2024 published from 2019 to 23. We have the Ember, because anytime you have a big fire blazing, as it goes down, you have embers left, and those embers are the quality books that have been published in the past few years. So get it, look at it. I went to the post office box yesterday and got several books that are coming in. So they're starting to come in every day, and we could not be more excited. And then today so the Fire Book Awards is one of the sponsors of the 2024 Authorship Summit. And that's hosted by our friend Sharon Jenkins. She's the authorpreneur creator and has done a lot to work with authors over the past years. She now has a summit started this morning. Everything is pre-recorded, so you just have to log in, and the recordings for today will be available for 24 hours unless you purchase one of the VIP awards, which is very, very reasonable. So anyway, I'm going to put the link to go register. You have to register, and then you'll receive a link to go watch the videos for today. I've already watched, the first one was Gary Whalen. He had the top 10 myths about indie publishing. It was very, very interesting. Rita and I are on there as well for today, talking about the Fire Awards. She interviewed us. And so, very exciting. Aimee, do you know what day you're on? So Amy's
No.
on one day. We've all been part of this and promoting it. So actually, if you go to my Facebook page, I posted this morning the link to go register. So go there or look below this this video.
Aimee, what are you talking about during
Russell,
the author?
well, I talk about a lot of stuff. We talk about
You always say.
I know. We talk about a lot of stuff. So we go into, she asked me for what my greatest tip was to give anybody. And you guys know I didn't just have one, I had 10. So I had 10 different tips on how to set up from beginning to end a successful book launch, what that looks like, and the 10 things that you need to do to make sure it's successful. Hiccups are going to happen. Hiccups happen to me all the time. So we talk about those kinds of things and dive in. We talk about Sandy and, just why it's so important to do marketing, to understand your role as marketing your book. No matter how you're published, you're going to have to market your book. So understanding that is kind of what we dive into in the conversation. So, yeah.
So my question about that is, what would be one of the acts you shouldn't do if you launch your book, Aimee?
One of the acts you shouldn't do?
That you should not do, that you've seen.
Well, you don't have to get editorial reviews. You can bypass that, right? So it's not one of those. But not offering some kind of promotional discount on your book when it first comes out is one of the things that you should not do. You definitely need to offer a promotion to get new readers, especially if you're a first-time author. Nobody knows you. They don't know your writing style. They don't know your book. They're not willing to invest $5. Another fun little tidbit I will tell you, unless you are a celebrity or like you've had 100 books on the New York Times bestseller, please do not post your ebooks at $10. No one will purchase that. So please don't. $3.99 or less. Okay, come on.
Okay, I've got two things to say about that.
Okay.
Number one, my book that I just went on Amazon and got is at $11, $10 and something. So I think I need to adjust that, don't you?
We need to raise your paperback, but that's the price it was set when we rebranded you. So we'll make adjustments here but we're going to run a promotion when book 2 comes out, which is going to happen in October. So we have all those kinds of fun things coming up for you, Russell.
And the next thing is, I remember when we launched Murder for Me the first time, Sandy and I got a big argument because I wanted to give the book away as a promotion. What? The maximum amount of days? And Sandy was like, do you remember that, Sandy?
And we did give it away. You won that argument, but we charged for the cookies.
Yes, but we gave the book away.
You should give it away. I know Sandy probably doesn't agree, but your first book kind of out the gate, your ebook, you should give it away right out.
Okay, this was not the ebook he wanted to give away. This was the hard copy he wanted to give.
I think at a book event like the one that you did, it makes sense to do that. Like I could see.
You're muted.
I could see why you would want to do that. It makes sense to do that. I think if you were going around to independent bookstores and stuff, that's different because they have to purchase it. But if you're having a big gathering and it's mostly a lot of, friends or family and all of that, it makes sense to do that. Even though I know it costs you to get the books, and so you're technically out all of that.
He had 200 people there.
Nice. Good for you.
Would have given away 200 books.
Hey, if you gave away 200 books and they all left a review, that's worth it. You know what I'm saying? That's worth it.
We have over 120 reviews online
Yes.
on
I
Amazon.
know.
We got lots of
And
reviews.
you had that viral thing happen with Marilyn when she was on the cover. You had that viral instance, and it was your book all over the world.
Taking Marilyn. Where are you taking Marilyn? And she went all over the world. That was great.
That was a great. If you can think of some kind of shtick, that is one of the good things you should do when you launch. Okay, I want to talk about an article that was in the New York Times yesterday. It's
Okay.
posted on AuthorTalk Facebook page. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can go to the Facebook page AuthorTalk later, and it's 3 or 4 posts down, and it's the New York Times article, and it's about someone who did an independent book, independent publishing, but it was in the top 10 of the New York Times, and how it happened. And this is an argument that goes both ways. Aimee and I have this perpetual argument about TikTok. And last year, someone hit gold that was an independent publisher, if you remember. He was a little guy, and a influencer came by at his little pedal stand in a grocery store and did a post about him, and it blew up, and he sold hundreds of thousands of copies. Did you remember that? Were you a part of any of that conversation, Sandy?
I don't think so. I mean, I remember the book, but I don't remember the conversation about it. No.
Well, anyway,
this
is this year's version.
Okay.
And the reason we've had this argument for the last year is because the guy was a TikTok poster that got this frenzy going with last year. And so we've been arguing for the last year about whether TikTok is a place to promote your book or not. And that's what happened with this book, but it's different. And it actually, it could go with my argument that it's TikTok is a good sales place, but it meets all the parameters when you would say, no, it's not a good place, except. Well, all the excepts were included when on this particular author on why it worked. And I thought it was really funny because it was right in the line of our argument. And that is, so why don't you tell us why TikTok doesn't work? And when you do, you're actually going to list why this was the exception to the rule and you still aren't wrong.
Right. So, okay. So the conversation a year ago, the guy didn't promote his book himself on TikTok. Someone else that was big in the TikTok community, he was a TikTok influencer, posted a clip about this guy. Well, the TikTok influencer was already big and had a big fan base. So they were going to, if he told them to jump, they would all ask how high. Okay. So that's why that guy had success. Now, TikTok does not work for every genre. And I am one to tell you, I am not on TikTok, and I know that people repurpose it as Facebook Reels and all that, and I do fall for those. I have read books that have been recommended that are TikTok famous, okay? It doesn't work for every genre. It works really well for romance, like it works fabulous, or for thrillers. If you can get into the mom community, children's books will work fabulous, depending on how you position it, okay? But other books do not work that well on TikTok, especially if you're promoting them yourself. If you want to pay a TikTok influencer to promote your book, you're not guaranteed to have sales. Now, listen, I will tell you, I read everything, and in between, the sky is the limit on what I read. I read almost 10 books a week. Okay. I read a lot. And so I know all the rules in becoming a bestseller. I know. So
that's the article. That's the New York Times article.
I tagged you in it, Sandy, so you could have it. So having those and posting it on there, there's different ways to be successful on it. But like I said, those are the genres that are going to be successful. Mafia romances do really well on there. Or what is it, the paranormal ones? But it doesn't fit for every genre. You have to create new content and do all those and take blurbs and have people share it and do all of that. So it's better to find where your target market is on social media and pitch towards that or run ads towards that. And if you really want to spend the money, and you could spend a lot of money if you wanted to, have TikTok influencers promote your book. I'm not an advocate of I don't advocate for influencers anyway. I think it's dying off. And that's a whole nother conversation. When TikTokers, or not TikTokers, but influencers came around, me and Sandy talked about this at least 7 years ago. I didn't like them then, right? So it's not, or content creators now, as they call it, it's dying off, right? People are wanting more organic conversations and those kinds of things. So I mean, TikTok just isn't a blend for everybody. It definitely is not going to work for everybody. That's for
Now,
sure.
for our listeners, the name of the article was How a Self-Published Book Broke All the Rules and Became a Bestseller. Now, if you read the article, it actually meets all your provisions on when you say it's not going to work except, and then you had all those exceptions, which this
Right.
meets those. So this particular book was organically grown from both a mailing list and a blog where she was writing about the shadow, and that is a psychological analysis term from the essentially from the first quarter of the 20th century,
Right.
and by a particular psychoanalysis.
Mm-hmm.
And she became very popular within a subgroup, mainly young people, mainly young women who are readers,
Yeah.
which meet your a couple of your exceptions. And she had already organically grown her following, and she had actually published a book, a pamphlet. This pamphlet got real popular with all her followers. Then she expanded it to a book, and boom.
Does it have to
It
do with mental health?
yes.
Yeah,
It
and
was
it's a
kind of.
journal, right?
I'm looking at the article, and it says that it was about how to explore the hidden parts of your unconscious. Though.
Yes,
Yeah.
the
So
shadow, which
it's
is
about
the
mental health. Yeah.
shadow. The shadow is a subconscious mental problems that we all have within the theory. We all have uh, certain mental problems. They're all different, and
Mm-hmm.
it's referred to as the shadow. And uh, this book, it was actually a workbook to begin with, when
Yeah, it's a
as it
journal.
organically grows. And it was about dealing with your own shadow.
Yeah. That's interesting though, because you would not think that TikTok would be the place for that, right? Because if you guys go on TikTok, I just know from what's repurposed, right? It's not that way. Like I'm sure that there's sub categories or whatever, that you can look in groups and stuff. But it's very much, doing the funny things or check out my life. Like one of them pops around, it's like, check out my life, married to a millionaire. Like, it's all of those things that kind of messes with your mental health. So the fact that a mental health work journal, it's not really a book, it's a journal, right? Made it is amazing for me. I mean, one, being in psychology, I am an advocate for mental health. I think like working from home, I have to go out every day. It messes with your mental health, right? But I think that that's great, especially that it was young people, right? Like I think that's amazing because mental health is talked about more now, but it still is a taboo conversation to have. It's not something that people want to have, or you know not a whole lot of people still advocate for it, and mental health, especially in our younger generations, especially in younger women and those kinds of things, is something that, on commercials and stuff, right? Like I don't have cable, I just have streaming, right? But you have all of these things of like what women are supposed to do, how we're supposed to look, all that. It messes with your mental health, right? So tapping into the shadow and understanding those kinds of things and coming to terms with things like that and having open conversations, I think are healthy. So no, this is fabulous. I never would have pictured it to be successful on TikTok. Not that it wouldn't be a successful book, but that's great.
So I'm reading the article, and one of the things the guy did, was to hold classes to guide people through the journal itself. So that's one of the things, Amy, you and I have always advocated is, do something that will show people or demonstrate what the book is like. Have a class and teach what your book is about. And that's exactly what he did. It's the very thing. Now, you and I never did recommend TikTok, and I still don't recommend it because there's so many things on there that maybe you shouldn't watch. But whatever the venue is or the vehicle that's used to get the message across to the people that are your target market, it works. If TikTok happens to work, then you can use that. But so does also having online classes on Zoom and doing things like that. There's a lot of things you can do to get the word out about your book. The main thing is get the word out. Figure
Mhm.
out what it is that will help you get the word from you, the author, or the person that's the advocate, to the potential reader. And I think the people needing or wanting to talk about mental health is a huge market today. So if you have a book that would help with that, anything like motivational is big today. I bought my grandchildren all kind of books on how to, how to be motivating, how to inspiring. All of those books are very popular. I think so. Getting the word out about your book, whatever it is. With in Russell's case, his is a thriller. So there's a whole millions of people out there that love thrillers. The goal is the idea for marketing is find those people and where are they? Where do they hang out? They hang out at some of the cons and some of those places. Find that out and get the message out about the book, and it's definitely a great way to do the
But
marketing.
Russell, you're having to push your book and market your book yourself, right? And so you're encountering, had this conversation offline, but you're encountering different experiences with each avenue that you book yourself on, right? So what is that journey like for you now that you're back in that media circuit?
I find it confusing because
Yeah.
every podcast organization, every podcaster, uh, every interview, they schedule you differently. They inform you of when it's going to be scheduled differently. I got to tell you about a big nightmare. I thought I'd scheduled something for noon last week, and I screwed up, and it was midnight.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Can
That is
you
big.
can you believe how much? And it's I can't even explain it. How I freaked out. I freaked out more than when Aimee walked into her new kitchen and they hadn't put in any of the sockets.
Oh, I
Okay,
was pretty pissed.
it was
Yeah.
a freak out, right? But I
Yeah.
was only pissed at myself that oh my gosh. And so it's very confusing. I've actually started keeping a journal of
Ooh.
okay, wait, okay, what do I need to do for this interviewer? What do I need to do for that interviewer? So I can keep things straight. So it's very confusing. Aimee, how do you? Okay, I know how people can contact. I've asked you 100 times on the show. How do
Right.
you pick? How do you schedule an author once you offer them an interview or they reach out to you asking to be interviewed? What's the process?
Yeah, so when they reach out to me, it's usually an email or a direct message. I prefer direct messages, to be honest. But when they reach out to me, then I'm like, hey, we go live Mondays at 10 a.m. live. If if that doesn't work for you, we can pre-record it. If that doesn't work, and then we'll get on and talk, and you'll be here, kind of thing. And so I was like, what month works for you? Like, if I need to move people around our schedule because you're only available, say, on the 14th, then I'll move whoever we have if that's your only date, or we'll pre-record or do something like that, to kind of fix it. But I communicate with them on what works best for them that will fit with our show. And then if they're like, oh, well, my book doesn't come out till September, and I'll be like, oh, well, let's get together, let's talk about it. And then we'll have it come out around your launch time, right? So we kind of coordinate all of that together. And then I put it on my calendar because I have AuthorTalk as a set Monday reminder, and I put who it is. And then I send the email out to them the night before, because I don't know if anyone else is like me, but I have a ton of emails a day. And so I send it out the night before and sometimes the morning of, so it doesn't get lost. It's not buried down, because I don't expect everyone to copy the link and put it in their calendar or whatever. Not everybody does that, right? So that's what I do. And
Some
then
of
I
us don't
send
even know how to do that.
it can be very difficult. It can be difficult, but there's services for that too. But then I send it out to the team the morning of or the night before with all of your press information, your book information, the link, so they know what all is going on. So they're prepared and we're prepared, you're prepared, and then we get on and have a really fun conversation. So that's my process in doing it. It's very personal, I guess, is how we do it. So yeah. Quick.
And the only other thing I have to ask is you never say anything about your publishing company, but I got to say that when you have an author, it's full press.
Yeah.
It's full press, just like it is trying to get your house done or anything else you do.
It is. And the exciting thing is I don't talk about it at all. It kind of is one of those things, Aimee does, and we don't talk a whole lot about it.
Why not?
But I just don't. I have my hands in so many different things. And this was an adventure. It's new for me. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm this huge publishing god or queen. This avenue is new for me. I mean, I have a lot of the resources and friendships and those kinds of things. So I'm learning as I go with this whole process, and having to find contract attorneys to look over stuff and figure out royalties and those kinds of things.
And that's important.
Yeah. And I'm not well versed in doing that. I've never had to do that, right? I just advise from the other end. So doing that is a new venture for me. So because I don't have everything like a well-oiled machine, I don't talk a whole lot about it. But I will say it has been a crazy month. May was really a crazy month for Plum Creek Press in terms of we actually got a lot of submissions. So I didn't really realize that or understand that. So Russell is the first book. We redid book 1. Book 2 is coming out in October. But outside of that, we actually have 5 authors that we're in communications with, and which all have series of books. And so it's an exciting new venture. And so we're looking towards having Plum Creek Press and branching into a children's press to do children's books on top of true crime and more historical fiction novels. So it's a fun, exciting new adventure that we're still navigating the waters towards. So because I'm not 100% confident, because I'm still learning things, I don't talk a whole lot about it because of that. But we do have it, and it is a fun thing. Russell's book was our first one, and it honestly is the most fun and dear, because you guys all know Russell is really dear to my heart. But to do that book and to put out that quality, which is why when he got those books and I haven't gotten mine, I was so pissed. I was so mad.
I've gotten so many compliments on, and I got to tell you, when you first get the package and you open it,
yeah,
and you look at it, you go, whoa, wow, because it's kind of dark, which so is the novel, which I really like. I can't imagine what Murder by Storm, which is in a hurricane, what we're going to do with that.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. So it's definitely, still a learning curve for sure. And it's definitely one of those things that we're still navigating the waters, but it's an exciting new adventure. Because, when you get really good at something, right, Russell, I'm sure maybe you like to be challenged, and I like to be intellectually challenged and to push and to grow intellectually. And so diving into this arena is a way to do that for me, because everything else is such a well-oiled machine, and it's fun and it's exciting and I love it. Don't get me wrong, but I want to be challenged and expand in a different creative avenue for me. And I want to help authors kind of bring their books to life. And we've talked about this several times on the show, and I know I'm fixing to go over time and Russell's going to be mad at me, but we've talked about this a lot.
It's not Sandy's fault. Sandy has known the time. And
listen how quiet I'm being.
No, so Sandy, you're like the godmother of all this, because you got all this going. You helped me get the first book. You brought Aimee on. When you retired, you gave her the business.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's been a lot of fun, but
aren't you proud of her, the way she's just taken it and run with it? Oh my gosh, every time I am around her and talk to her and hear, and now that it's publishing, and Aimee, I know you're just getting into it now, so you're not running through the forest waving your arms and everything yet because you're not
no.
quite sure. But once you're confident on and have those contracts complete and know and it takes a while to understand. There's a lot of complexity about publishing, but once you get
Yeah.
it, there will be no stopping you. The forest will be ablaze with your messaging and your work you're doing and the authors that you're publishing. I just can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah. Well, so we decided to do the traditional route, right? Because we've talked about this. I'll say this and then we can wrap it up, right? But there's a lot of vanity presses morphed into hybrids. There are some really great hybrid presses out there. I know a lot of them, so I'm not discrediting those. But there are some that have jaded and cheated first-time authors. And to me, that's just really sad. So we do operate as a traditional press. We do all of that. We don't require any money from the author or anything like that. With that being said, we are very selective in who we take on. It is one of those that at the end of the day, it's just a time commitment and the time to put out the best quality that we want to put out to do your book justice. So we do operate as that for sure. So hopefully next Monday, I don't have a pissed off Aimee segment about my walkthrough today and how all that's going to go. Hopefully it's fun and puppies and rainbows. I will hopefully fingers, hair, toes, everything that you can cross across. I will be closing next Monday afternoon after Author Talk. So it will be a fun time. But I know that these just monthly check-ins with all of us is so much fun. So we all hope that you have a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your week. And until next Monday, cross everything that you have that today goes good. But we'll catch you all next Monday. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.